You ever notice how the more you want her, the less she wants you? How desire seems to punish the man who shows it and reward the one who doesn't care. That's not coincidence. That's psychology. Modern dating isn't driven by love or logic. It's driven by leverage. The moment she senses you're emotionally invested, the dynamic shifts. You become predictable, accessible, replaceable. But here's what most men never understand. Attraction isn't built on comfort. It's built on tension. The primal pull between your restraint and her curiosity, between your silence and her imagination. When you give her everything too fast, she stops feeling the chase and desire dies. In this video, you'll learn the hidden psychology behind modern dating. The quiet power that separates the men who get chosen from the men who get ignored. Because attraction isn't about being nice, it's about being necessary. If you're truly ready to change your life, write in the comments, "I'm ready to change." Because once you make that decision, everything shifts. Here's the first truth you must understand. In modern dating, attention has replaced attraction. Women no longer crave connection. They crave confirmation. The more you give, the less she values it. Because what's abundant can't be desired. Most men today have become dealers in their own downfall. They hand out validation like candy, hoping it'll buy affection. But all it does is raise her tolerance. The more you text, compliment, reassure, the more her nervous system adjusts. What used to excite her now barely registers. You've become emotional background noise. Picture this. She posts a story. You react instantly. Flame emoji, heart eyes, something sweet. She smiles. Not because she's touched, but because she's been seen. And now your energy becomes part of her daily validation loop, a digital breadcrumb trail feeding her ego. But here's the irony. While she forgets your name, you remember every second of her silence. The addiction you're feeding is hers, but the price you're paying is yours. Machiavelli would have warned you of this centuries ago. He who depends on the favor of others becomes their servant. In today's dating economy, most men are servants to their own need for acknowledgement. They've traded power for attention, control for comfort. Now, think about this in another field, the workplace. The employee who constantly seeks approval becomes predictable, disposable. But the one who works in silence, who masters his craft without demanding validation, becomes untouchable. His mystery multiplies his worth. Therefore, you must reclaim your value by mastering selective attention. Don't respond instantly. Don't chase every flicker of interaction. Create pauses. Let her imagination work harder than your effort. Because the man who withholds attention doesn't lose connection. He creates scarcity, and scarcity breeds desire. Here's the deeper twist. When you stop giving validation freely, you flip the script. Now she's the one checking your stories. She's the one analyzing your tone, wondering where your mind is. You've shifted the emotional leverage. In a world drowning in noise, silence becomes power. And the man who learns to make his absence felt will always have more influence than the one begging to be seen. Here's the second truth you must absolutely understand. Women don't test you because they hate you. They test you because they need to. And that test isn't random, it's ancient. It's written deep inside the female brain as a survival mechanism, the emotional radar designed to separate the grounded from the fragile. She wants to feel your strength, not hear about it. That's why she creates tension out of nowhere. Go cold when things feel perfect, challenge your words, or pull back when you get closer. To a man who doesn't understand psychology, this looks like chaos. But to the trained eye, it's calibration. She's checking your temperature. Can you stay centered when she storms? Or will you crumble like every man before you? Imagine this. You're on a date. Everything flows easily. You make her laugh. She touches your arm. The rhythm feels perfect. Then suddenly, she says something like, "You talk to a lot of girls, don't you?" Most men panic. They defend themselves, reassure her, deny everything, and in doing so, they fail the test because she wasn't asking for an answer. She was asking for reaction. She wanted to feel that your sense of self doesn't depend on her approval. So, what happens when you stay calm instead? You smile slightly. You meet her gaze. You say, "Would it bother you if I did?" Now her brain lights up because instead of collapsing into guilt, you stood firm in your presence. You didn't resist her tension. You contained it. And that containment, that quiet dominance, is what makes her trust you. Machiavelli wrote that the wise prince uses small provocations to measure loyalty and strength before real danger strikes. In the same way, women provoke emotional friction to test a man's internal power. She's not trying to break you. She's trying to find where your center begins and where it ends. You'll see this pattern everywhere, even outside of dating. At work, a client might push your limits, delay payments, or question your expertise just to see if you'll fold. The weak man reacts. He argues, defends, over-explains. The strong one breathes, observes, and reasserts authority with silence and certainty. Power never rushes. It waits for the right moment to strike. Therefore, you must reframe every emotional test as an opportunity to demonstrate composure. When she withdraws, don't chase. When she challenges you, don't defend. When she provokes, stay amused. Because the more unshaken you remain, the more her nervous system starts associating you with safety, not comfort, but stability. And here's the paradox. She doesn't consciously want to test you, but she can't stop herself, because deep down her instincts are asking the same question over and over. Can I trust this man's strength more than my own emotions? Every time you answer that question through stillness instead of explanation, she relaxes deeper into your frame. So remember this. Her emotional resistance isn't rejection. It's attraction in disguise. If you can't handle her fire, she burns you out. But if you can hold it without flinching, she starts to see you as the man every other couldn't, become the one whose calm commands chaos without ever needing to fight it. Here's the third truth that most men never grasp. The act of chasing a woman doesn't pull her closer. It pushes her away. Every pursuit, every overinvestment, every text sent too soon communicates one silent message. You have more to lose than she does. And in nature, the one who has more to lose is never in control. Men think chasing equals effort. But women don't fall for effort. They fall for gravity, the kind of energy that pulls rather than pushes. The more you move toward her, the less space she has to move toward you. And that imbalance, that suffocating pressure, kills attraction faster than rejection ever could. Imagine this. You text her good morning every day. You check if she's eaten, if she's home safe, if she's still thinking about you. At first, she smiles. It feels sweet. But soon, that sweetness turns heavy. She no longer wonders about you because you've already told her everything through your constant presence. You've left her no space to miss you, no reason to wonder, no emotional gap to fill. And where there's no curiosity, there can be no desire. Now, flip the story. You send nothing for a day. She checks your social media, replays your last message, rereads your tone. She starts to wonder, what is he doing? Who is he with? That uncertainty, that absence triggers something primal, a spark of tension, a flicker of hunger. It's not manipulation, it's balance, because desire needs distance. Without it, all that's left is comfort, and comfort kills polarity. Machiavelli warned that the one who appears too eager to please is already half conquered. In love, as in politics, the weaker side is always the one showing desperation. The powerful understand this. Pursuit lowers perceived value, while presence calm, selective, intentional multiplies it. Think of it like this. In business, when a company begs investors for funding, it looks unstable. But when investors chase the company, its value skyrockets overnight. The same principle applies to attraction. A man who over-pursues signals dependence. A man who stays patient signals demand. Therefore, you must learn the art of calibrated distance. Do not withdraw out of fear, but out of strength. Do not ignore her to play games, but to create space for polarity to breathe. When she feels your absence and realizes the world doesn't orbit around her emotions, respect begins to bloom. She starts to perceive you not as another man needing validation, but as a man with a life she wants to be part of. And here's the deeper reversal most men never see. The more you stop trying to get her, the faster she moves toward you. Because in her subconscious, your stillness feels like strength, and your silence feels like control. You stop being the pursuer. You become the prize. And that is when the power dynamic flips not through force, but through self-possession. Because a man who doesn't chase, but chooses, becomes the one she cannot forget, even when she tries. Here's the fourth truth every man must confront. Weak men don't want love. They want permission to feel worthy. They confuse a woman's approval with real connection. And that confusion destroys their power before the relationship even begins. When a man seeks approval, his entire identity becomes performance. Every text, every gesture, every act of kindness isn't born from self-respect. It's born from fear. Fear of disapproval, fear of loss, fear of being seen as not enough. And the moment your behavior comes from fear, she feels it. Women can sense insecurity before you speak a single word. Picture this. You're with a woman and she looks slightly distant. You sense something's off. Most men panic internally, they start overcompensating. They talk more, touch more, apologize for things they didn't even do. They think, if I can just make her happy again, she see I'm a good man. But that reaction doesn't draw her closer. It confirms her suspicion, because the instant you try to earn her peace, you signal that you've lost your own. True connection can't exist when your self-worth is outsourced. Machiavelli would have called this the weakness of dependency. He wrote, "The man who builds his castle on the favor of others will see it crumble in the first storm." In relationships, that storm is emotional instability, hers or yours. If your peace collapses every time she's unhappy, you are no longer her partner. You've become her emotional mirror. Think of how this plays out beyond love. In a workplace, the employee who constantly seeks his boss's praise never earns real authority. He's liked, not respected, and the one who always agrees with everyone never leads. He follows silently, hoping not to be disliked. It's the same emotional disease. The craving for external approval erodes inner strength. Therefore, you must learn this distinction. Approval is validation. Connection is resonance. Approval fades the moment you displease her. Connection deepens when you stay authentic even under pressure. She may not always like what you say, but she will always respect how you stand. To embody this, practice emotional detachment, not coldness, but composure. When she pulls away, you don't panic. You let her space breathe. When she criticizes you, you don't argue. You listen, reflect, and respond only when grounded. Because every time you choose self-command over reaction, she feels something deeper than comfort. She feels trust, and trust is the foundation of real connection. Here's the paradox. Women don't fall for the men who try hardest to please them. They fall for the men who can remain themselves no matter how much pressure she applies. The man who doesn't flinch when affection turns to silence. Who doesn't chase when the energy shifts. That's the man she feels safe to surrender to. So remember this final emotional lesson. Stop begging for approval and start embodying value. Because when you stop needing her validation, you give her something she can finally respect. A man who stands on his own ground, even when the world shakes. Here's the fifth truth, and it separates powerful men from emotionally robotic ones. Real strength isn't cold detachment. It's controlled vulnerability, the ability to open your heart without losing your frame. Most men swing to extremes. Some overshare everything too soon, hoping vulnerability will make them different. Others shut down completely, mistaking silence for strength. But both paths lead to the same outcome, a loss of polarity. One makes you her emotional therapist, the other makes you her statue. Machiavelli once wrote that a ruler must know when to show weakness, for it can be the greatest mask of power. The same principle applies here. Controlled vulnerability is not exposure, it's precision. It's showing just enough truth to build depth without ever giving her the power to define your worth. Imagine this. You're with a woman who asks, "Have you ever been hurt before?" A weak man spills everything. He turns the moment into a confessional. He hands her the emotional map of his pain and hopes she'd treasure it. But instead, she feels something subtly shift. The polarity dies because now she's the strong one. A cold man, on the other hand, shuts down. No, I don't talk about the past. He protects his ego but sacrifices intimacy. She feels like she's talking to a wall, not a man. Now imagine the strategic move. You pause, breathe, and say something simple, real, contained. Yeah, I've been hurt before. But every scar built the man I am now. Then silence. No elaboration, no collapse, just presence. That's controlled vulnerability. The moment where truth is shared, but power remains intact. This same principle applies in every domain. In leadership, a great CEO admits uncertainty but radiates direction. We don't have all the answers yet, but we'll figure it out. That blend of honesty and steadiness commands loyalty because people don't follow perfection. They follow conviction. Therefore, you must learn the art of revealing without depending. You show emotion, but you don't drown in it. You acknowledge pain, but you don't worship it. You speak truth, but you don't beg to be understood. Women can feel this balance instantly when you speak from your center calm, contained, self-assured. Your honesty becomes a weapon of attraction, not weakness. Because it proves something deeper than confidence. It proves control under truth. And here's the twist that changes everything. Women don't fall for invulnerability. They fall for a man whose vulnerability feels not a wound still bleeding, but a scar that tells a story of power regained. So remember this. The strongest men don't hide their emotions. They govern them. They let others see the fire, but never the burn. Because power is not the absence of feeling. It's the ability to feel deeply without ever losing the throne. Here's the sixth and final truth the one Machiavelli himself would have written had he lived in the age of dating apps and emotional chaos. Control the frame, and you control everything. Lose the frame, and even your words become meaningless. The frame is the invisible boundary that defines reality between you and her. It's the tone, the energy, the belief system that both of you unconsciously agree to operate inside. In every interaction, whether it's a date, an argument, or a text, there's always one person whose frame dominates, and that person controls how the story feels. When you're calm while she's emotional, your frame wins. When you stay purpose-driven while she spirals, your frame stands. When you speak slowly while she rushes, your frame shapes the atmosphere itself. But when you collapse, argue, or over-explain, you step into her world. And from that moment, you're no longer leading, you're reacting. Machiavelli would have whispered, "He who defines the narrative rules the outcome." In relationships, that means this. The person who sets the tone emotionally becomes the psychological leader, not through dominance, but through consistency. Picture this. She's angry, pacing, throwing emotional lightning. Most men try to fight fire with fire. They match her tone, raise their voice, defend themselves. But power doesn't come from escalation. It comes from containment. You let her emotion burn out while you remain the still point in the storm. You say little, your breathing stays slow, your eyes steady, and without even realizing why, she begins to calm down because her nervous system starts mirroring yours. That's what emotional leadership truly is, not control over her, but control over the energy between you. The same applies outside of relationships. In business, the man who keeps composure during chaos is the one investors follow. In conflict, the man who stays grounded when others panic becomes the authority everyone listens to. The frame is transferable. Whoever owns it owns perception, and perception is power. Therefore, you must master emotional command. You don't win by forcing her to submit. You win by refusing to be pulled off center. Every reaction she tries to provoke anger, confusion, guilt is an invitation to surrender your frame. Decline it, smile slightly, breathe deeper, speak less. Because silence from a man who is sure of himself creates gravity, and gravity bends the world around it. Here's what most men never understand. Women don't want to control you. They want to feel safe in your control of yourself. When you hold the frame, she relaxes not because you dominate her, but because your presence makes chaos feel manageable. And that's the ultimate paradox of power. The man who doesn't fight for control is the one who naturally holds it. So remember this final law. Never give away your frame. Not to her emotions, not to your fear, not to the world's pressure. Because once you lose your frame, you lose yourself. But when you master it, when you can stay calm, grounded, and certain, you don't just win in dating, you win in life. Because in the end, the world bends to the man who does not move. If you've made it here, understand this. You're already ahead of 99% of men. Because most never learn to master their emotions. They just let the world pull their strings. But not you. You've seen the code behind modern chaos. You've seen how calm is not weakness, it's command. So from now on, stop chasing peace outside yourself. Be the peace, let her storms rage, and let the world test you. Because the man who remains centered when everything else shakes becomes unforgettable in love, in life, in power. And if you ever doubt your strength, remember this. The world will always bow to the man who refuses to flinch. If this opened your eyes, and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available. The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So, let's build minds that don't break.